What is something that everyone looks stupid doing? Tripping over absolutely nothing while walking on a flat surface. Not nothing. There's usually a painted stripe I trip over. My teen daughter does this all the time. I always joke with her it takes real skill to trip on air. Chasing after something blown away by the wind. I almost chased a damn $20 bill into a busy street at a gas station. I felt completely foolish, especially when I went inside to pay and the attendant said, "Goddamn. I thought you wouldn't catch it." Woman face palming. Exception for when you're on the beach and someone else's trash rolls by. You look like the hero you are when you chase down and take a nasty plastic bag off the sand. When you go to speak and choke on your own spit and sit there for 30 minutes coughing to try and collect yourself. This happened to me during my SATs. I wasn't speaking but somehow started to choke on my own saliva just sitting there taking the test. I just could not stop choking. I couldn't get it together. Dead-ass silent auditorium full of people and I'm dying but trying and failing to do so quietly. People began staring angrily. I tried to sip water and ended up cough spraying it all over the table. You weren't allowed to leave the room either. I looked like that meme with kid who is straining with a beet red face and veins popping out all over his neck. You know the one. It was horrible. Thank goodness I'm not the only one. Walking down stone steps that are uncomfortably spaced so you have to lunge and reach for each one. When they're only like an inch high but 2 feet long. Why? Or if the steps are too shallow and you end up taking tiny little steps. That look on your face when you're about to sneeze, but then it goes away. Or when you get the double sneeze and make way more noise than intended because you feel like a demon was just expelled from your body. Getting out of the back seats of a two-door car. At 6'4" I can absolutely attest to this. Running after a ping pong ball that's rolling on the floor. Or trying to pick up a football and it just keeps changing directions every time you're about to catch it. Thank you for that wonderful imagery. Walking into a spider web. In that moment I don't care about what others think. I'm just trying to survive, even though it's just a tiny web by a tiny spider. Waving at a person who you wrongly thought was waving at you. I was trying to get into a parking garage but couldn't figure out how to get my ticket in. Someone watching started waving at me and said wave. I was caught off guard and waved to them and asked how they were doing. They said no, wave at the machine. I closed my window as soon as I could and drive to a parking spot. There's no graceful way to get out of a kayak. To add to this, there is no graceful way to get back onto a kayak if you fall off. That's what I tell people who've never kayaked before. The hardest part is the 5 minutes of figuring how to get out. Turning around because you realize you're going the wrong way. Checks phone and turns around. I just circumvent the globe, less embarrassing though more time consuming. Standing there and looking around while everyone sings happy birthday to you. I'll never forget, I was at a restaurant and these people started singing happy birthday to this teenage boy and he immediately blew out the candles. He gave up a wish to make them stop. He's my fucking hero. Pretending to conduct them is a great remedy. Holding the door for someone at that weird distance when they're close but like you still gotta wait for like half a minute. I did this once and they just walked through the automatic door next to it. Or being that person the door is being held for, hoping that the door holder will just go without me so I don't have to pick up the pace or start jogging. Having to politely jog across the street because the one car driving down it stops for you instead of just continuing to drive so the pedestrian can cross the street at whatever pace they'd like to. And then you always have to do that low down, by your hips wave as you go into that jog. Or a head nod upwards to say thanks and that somehow makes you look more awkward. If I see a car in a position where they might do this, I keep walking on the curb until they pass, then cross. Just got to avoid that eye contact. Tripping. shoelaces or acid? Running with a backpack. Flashback, running to catch the bus in high school. I think backpacks should have another strap that goes around your waist so they don't just slam into your back when you run. Edit. Well, I guess there are some that do, but I haven't seen any like that. Earl. Taking a picture with an iPad, weary face. My favorite baseball team had a championship parade within a couple years after the first iPad launched, and I can still remember one of the coaches holding his iPad up from the back of the truck he was riding in, taking video or pictures. It looked unbelievably dorky. Several years ago I was at an aquarium and some kid about 18 years old was taking pics of everything with an iPad. Just didn't look right. Yawning. I saw a comedian on TV once that said if someone walked around the corner while you were mid-yawn they would think you are a special breed of crazy. I just spent the past 5 minutes trying and failing to yawn because I was laughing too hard. Now my family is looking at me weird. Thank you. I come across people mid-yawn all the time. Why don't more people cover their mouths when they yawn in public? Trying to pretend they are sober when they are drunk. The inverse is also true, when high school or college students pretend to be drunker than they actually are for attention. You're drunk, I'm not drunk, can you tell the time? Looks at clock, I'm not drunk. Walking downhill. Came here to say this. A while ago this question was asked and a dude mentioned this. There's no way the way people walk, buckled knees, going down a steep hill, will ever look good. My wife and I visited San Francisco several years ago. One day she was wearing this very pretty summer dress with a high-heeled shoe. While walking down one of the streets, someone walking towards us made a sudden surprise face, and I hear a splat. Behind me. I turn around and see my wife face down with her legs up in the air like a dang cartoon. She was fine, but afterwards I think I laughed for a solid hour. My only regret was not seeing it happen. Standing around while your dog poops and then having to pick it up. Even worse. Standing around while your dog poops and then walking away without picking it up. Ditto for crouching down with visible butt crack to scoop your cat's litter box. Waving away a flying insect. Similarly, walking into a spider web. From a distance, anyone who does this looks mildly insane as they suddenly start brushing themselves off for no apparent reason. Just blow the insect away. With your breath. Learning something new. Looking stupid and embarrassment are the entry costs for gaining new skills. I remember watching Mike Boyd's video on learning to ride a penny farthing, and before he even got on once he pointed out that everyone in the park was watching and, presumably, waiting for see what impressive thing he was going to do. It made me realize that yeah, if I saw someone with the tools for an interesting skill I'd just assume they already know how to do it. Plunging a toilet, bonus points for the sounds that toilet makes at you. Well, thankfully that one is usually done out of sight. My toilet backed up last week due to a clog further down the line. I plunged for a good 20 minutes or more before I gave up and tried the clean out outside. I now have a huge blister on my palm from the plunger, and I probably won't be telling anyone where I got that. Putting change in your wallet. Drop the change in your pocket instead, and toss it in a jar or console in your car or whatever. It just makes your wallet bulkier, anyway. If you are a woman, I apologize. You all should mass protest for better pockets. It's comforting to know that it's just not me. Trying to fart, but unsuccessful. Worse, farting a little too successfully. Throwing with their non-dominant hand. The jelly trebuchet. Trust me, it would look equally stupid to throw with my dominant hand. Running for a bus you have no chance of catching. Or, doing that slow jog thing when you know you can reach it, but you kinda want the driver to know to wait for you. Trudging through sand on the beach with all your belongings trying to find a spot. Walking back from bowling. Nah man, finger guns. No, you got to angrily yell, who do you think you are? I am. When you get sweaty and your underwear sticks to your ass and you have to fix it. Am I the only one who has this happen to them? No. If I ever go to Florida again, I'm dumping baby powder into my underwears. Every single color guard rehearsal / any kind of athletic thing I've ever done. Going through a revolving door that's a little too small and a little too slow. Revolving doors have a learning curve. Slipping on ice. The Cotton Eye Joe dance. Where did he come from? Where do he go? Subscribe for more hot Reddit takes in your inbox, guaranteed.